For 700 years, this was the richest city on Earth. It ruled the sea. Its merchants grew so wealthy that their gold financed armies, their ships carried the trade of 3 continents, and their navy answered to no one. And then, over 6 days in the year, 146 BC, a rival army marched through its streets and burned it, house by house, to the ground. They didn't just defeat Carthage. They erased it so completely that for 2,000 years, its very name has meant total destruction. This is the rise and fall of Carthage, and how the wealthiest city in the ancient world was turned to ash. It began with sailors. Nearly 3,000 years ago, traders from the Phoenician city of Tyre, on the coast of the Levant, sailed west looking for new markets. On the coast of North Africa, they founded a new city. They called it Carthage, the new city. We know it as Carthage. Legend says it was founded by a queen named Dido, who fled her murderous brother and bought just as much land as a single ox hide could cover. Then cut the hide into thin strips to claim a whole hill. However it began, Carthage was perfectly placed at the crossroads of every trade route in the Mediterranean. And the Carthaginians did one thing better than anyone alive. They traded. Their ships carried silver and tin, grain and ivory, fine cloth dyed in the priceless Tyrian purple, and gold worked by master craftsmen. They sold to anyone who could pay. Their network spread across North Africa, into Spain, across Sicily, Sardinia, and 100 islands. By the 6th century BC, Carthage had surpassed even Phoenicia itself to become the greatest trading power in the world. And all that wealth bought a navy. In their famous circular war harbor, hundreds of warships sat ready. Carthage didn't need to conquer the world. It owned the sea the world's trade sailed on. It was, by any measure, the richest city on Earth. And across the water, a young farming town was beginning to grow teeth. That town was Rome. For centuries, Carthage and Rome had barely noticed each other. But as both grew, they collided over the one island that sat between them, Sicily. The first war between them, fought largely at sea, dragged on for 23 years. Carthage, the great naval power, was beaten at its own game. It lost Sicily, and it was forced to pay Rome a fortune. A proud Carthaginian general named Hamilcar Barca never forgave the humiliation. He took his family to Spain and built a new empire there, rich in silver, a war chest for revenge. And legend says he made his young son swear an oath at an altar that he would never be a friend of Rome. That son was Hannibal, and he would come closer to destroying Rome than any man in history. In the year 218 BC, Hannibal did the unthinkable. Instead of crossing the sea, he marched an army of tens of thousands of men and a column of war elephants over the frozen Alps and came down into Italy from the north, where Rome least expected him. The mountains alone killed nearly half his men. And then he did something even more astonishing. At a place called Cannae, in 216 BC, Hannibal surrounded and destroyed the largest army Rome had ever put in the field. Tens of thousands of Romans killed in a single day. It remains one of the most catastrophic defeats in military history. For a moment, the richest city in the world stood on the brink of crushing the upstart republic entirely. But Hannibal could not take the city of Rome itself, and Carthage, the merchant state, was slow to send him reinforcements. Rome refused to surrender. It simply endured. And while Hannibal was stranded in Italy, Rome carried the war to Africa. Hannibal was finally called home, and in 202 BC, at Zama, he lost to a Roman general named Scipio. Carthage surrendered. It gave up its empire, its navy, its war elephants, and agreed to pay Rome for 50 years. The war was over. Carthage had lost, but it was still standing, and it was still rich. That, it turned out, was the problem. Stripped of its empire, Carthage did the only thing it had ever truly known how to do. It traded, and within a generation, the city was wealthy again, its harbors full, its markets thriving. To Rome, that was intolerable. A defeated enemy was acceptable. A defeated enemy growing rich again was a threat that would not die. And one old senator made it his obsession. Cato the Elder, it is said, ended every single speech he ever gave, no matter the subject, with the same 3 words.
Carthago delenda est. Carthage must be destroyed.
Over and over, until the Senate could no longer ignore him. Rome found a pretext, and in the year 149 BC, it declared the war it had wanted all along. The Romans laid siege to the city, and the Carthaginians, who knew exactly what was coming, fought with the desperation of people defending not a war, but their very existence. For 3 years, the great city held. Then, Rome handed command to a ruthless young general, Scipio Aemilianus, and in the spring of 146 BC, the final assault began. What followed was not a battle, it was an extermination. For 6 days and 6 nights, the Romans fought their way through the city, street by street, house by house, killing as they went and setting everything behind them ablaze. The richest city in the world burned. When it was over, of a population that had once filled one of the greatest cities on earth, some 50,000 survivors were sold into slavery. The rest were dead. Rome did not just take Carthage, Rome unmade it, tearing down what the fire had not, determined that the city would never rise again. Legend says the Romans sowed the ground with salt so that nothing would ever grow there again. That part isn't true. A story invented many centuries later. The truth is almost stranger. 100 years on, Rome itself rebuilt Carthage as one of its own great cities. But the Carthage of the merchants, the empire of the sea, the richest city in the ancient world, was gone forever. It had everything wealth could buy. It could not buy mercy from a rival that simply wanted it gone. For 700 years, Carthage ruled the trade of the world, and in 6 days, it became what its name still means to this day, a thing erased so completely that only the warning survives. I'm telling these stories of empires built and burned on this channel. If that's your kind of history, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.